earlier I mentioned how Karl-Anthony Towns went from getting the most votes for player you'd most like to build a team around for back-to-back seasons to not getting a single vote. So what has changed, Byron, with the way people assess him?
Well, you know what? I haven't seen you guys in a while. So, George, I don't know if you know and Rachel know, but you know, LeBron James is here in Los Angeles? He's with the LA Lakers?
He is.
Oh, okay, let me go back to what we
were Karl-Anthony Towns.
Just wanted you guys to know that I'm still on a high.
I warned everyone at the top of the show. Byron is happy.
I'm still on a high.
Mr.
I haven't had a chance to really
Laker
express
champion
this.
Is happy. All right.
And I'm going to be on this high probably till November. Y'all going to keep hearing
Well, you got the gold right there. You're ready to roll.
The gold, baby, is in the house. My purple, I got purple draws on, but I can't show y'all that. But anyway.
My tea here.
My guy.
I got the purple for you right
here.
Thank
you, George. But Cat didn't get a single vote, like you said. And I think one of the biggest reasons this year is because of the fact that they're going through some turmoil in Minnesota. You know, Jimmy Butler, who is probably one of the most mild-mannered guys you ever come across, who just comes out and plays the game the right way and wants to be coached, wants to be pushed, he doesn't want to be there. And I think that says a lot about the core of that team, and especially Cat. So I think it went from him being one of the guys that everybody wants to build a team around to now they have some turmoil in that locker room. They have some turmoil with that team. Jimmy wants to be traded. If he doesn't get traded, that's going to be an unhappy situation for him in Minnesota, and I think it's going to affect them on the floor as a team. So I think a lot of that goes into why all of a sudden he just fell off the list. I think a lot of that has to do with it.
Go from one to
because you're at the top of that list too. All of a sudden, you're not getting nothing.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that has to do with Jimmy Butler not wanting to be there.
I agree with that. I also will add this. The playoffs made him look soft, okay? He played terribly in the playoffs. He got outplayed by Clint Capela, who is not supposed to be a franchise-type player. He's a good player, and whether that's fair or unfair, that's the reality, the way GMs view this stuff through that prism. They say, well, you know, when it mattered, where was he? He was invisible.
Okay, but don't you think the playoffs made him look young? I don't think the playoffs made him look soft. I think they made him look young.
Well, but Jimmy's been talking about him. Well, in theory, right? We've been hearing rumors that Jimmy feels that he may be soft.
Right. And by the way, I'm with you and Byron. Look, Jimmy Butler's a good barometer, right? We know how Jimmy Butler works. So if Jimmy Butler has said, he's proven that. So if Jimmy Butler says, I'm done, that does tell you something. That being said, I do want to say I was impressed with a lot of what Karl-Anthony Towns put out on the floor last season. And that offensively, the range he has and the things he is able to do, I don't think you can just gloss over that. Defensively, he's clearly still a work in progress. He did express a few times last year, if you look at some of his quotes, well, that's where the coaches put me, or that's what I was told to do. And there were a couple of those things that kind of came out. And I'm curious whether he and Tibbs, if they do go forward without Jimmy Butler, and Tibbs knows, look, I got to make it work with Karl. Like, this is it. This is what I have left. I wonder if that relationship changes at all, and that changes how Karl develops from here. I just.
But Rach,
not putting him number one is one thing. Giving up on him seems insane to me.
But I'm with George. You know, the regular season is the regular season. It really doesn't matter once you get to the playoffs. When you get to the playoffs, if you don't show up, then people will gauge you on that performance. And for those games against the Houston Rockets, he was thoroughly outplayed by a guy who was a lesser-known player from that center position. And we thought
a lesser talent.
And we thought that the Cat would really kind of dominate that position, and he was thoroughly outplayed.